Welcome back. You're watching Newsx. My name is Vineet. As US President Donald Trump continues his swift crackdown on illegal immigration in the United States, India's External Affairs Minister has clarified his stand on the return of undocumented Indian immigrants. He emphasized on the legitimate return of these immigrants and noted that government was still in the process of verifying those who could be deported. He also expressed his agreement with the stand of the Trump administration on illegal immigration and illegal activities. As per data released by the US government, about 2.2 lakh Indians live in the United States who are undocumented. Bloomberg has reported that India has started the process for the deportation of 18,000 Indians in the United States. Let's listen into what Dr. Jaishankar had to say.
With Pakistan. देखिए, ट्रेड हमने तो बंद नहीं किया, जो किया तो उनके प्रशासन ने जो 2019 में जो निर्णय लिए गए कि भारत के साथ व्यापार नहीं करना, वो उनके साइड से था। तो हमारा जो इस मुद्दा के बारे में हमारी जो चिंता जो थी, शुरू से हमारा हित था कि हमें MFN स्टेटस मिले। हम पाकिस्तान को MFN स्टेटस देते थे, वो हमको देते नहीं थे। तो आज पिछले साल के बाद ऐसी कोई पाकिस्तान के साथ बैठ के ऐसी कोई बात नहीं हुई व्यापार के बारे में, ना उनके यहाँ से कोई ऐसा इनिशिएटिव आया है। जो ड्रग्स के बारे में जो आप कह रहे हैं, वो तो सबको जानकारी है इसमें कि वहाँ से ड्रग्स काफ़ी संख्या में आते हैं और ये चिंता।
All right, joining us on the program to talk more about this is Professor Madhav Nalapat, editorial director of the Sunday Guardian. Ambassador Bhasmati Mukherjee, former diplomat, also with us on the program. Sumit Peer, senior political commentator, joins us on the program as well. Last but by no means the least, Mr. Pathakrit Pine, geopolitical analyst and expert, also with us on the show. Professor Nalapat, I'll begin with you, sir. Well, immigration, or rather the illegal immigration in the United States has been a very strong, a very pivotal plank for Donald Trump, and perhaps we can even say his return to power in 2025. The fact of the matter is that illegal immigration is also something that has stung India and continues to sting India currently as well as in the past as well. Dr. S. Jaishankar, perhaps concurring or not showing any dissonance, with this first outreach in terms of bilateral agreements between the two countries, goes on to show that both the countries have gotten off on a good note.
Well, I'd like to point out that illegal migration of any kind is wrong. As the minister correctly said, in any country, illegal migration should not be welcomed, for a simple reason that illegal migration has also led to spikes in organized crime and violence. The legal Indian community in the United States, those who are legally residing in the United States, settled in the United States, or are citizens of the United States, they have got an exemplary record. About illegal migration, frankly, we have no idea as to who all have been illegally going there, and there is no doubt that they need to be sent back. Illegal migration of any kind in any country has to be handled in a very, very firm manner. At the same time, I think he would have raised, I'm sure he would have raised the issue of this H-1B visa and the issue of legal residents and visitors to the United States and their rights. So I think those rights that are legal need to be protected, and not just for India's sake, for sake of the United States. The technology industry in the United States, health industry, education, so many fields in the US are heavily dependent on either Indian nationals or Indian Americans for their doing well. So from that point of view, the US, if it were to block legal residency in the United States by some of the most skilled people in the world, where medicine, technology, etc. is concerned, it will basically be handicapping itself in this race with China and giving China the edge. I don't believe that President Trump is going to walk down that course, given the national security picks that he has chosen. So my own personal view, Vinny, a lot of this is posturing, and he knows a lot of this is going to be struck down by the courts in the United States. So that is the posturing, and frankly, I mean, it is, even that kind of posturing is not something that is welcome, but there is a difference between legal and illegal, and so far as legal residents, legal visitors are concerned, their rights need to be protected under the 14th Amendment of the US Constitution, which was passed in 1863, just after the Civil War, to make the United States treat people fairly. So, as per the 14th Amendment, blocking legal migration is against the Constitution, and I don't believe that this is going to stand up to court scrutiny. Vinny.
All right, Ambassador Mukherjee, your thoughts on this? Is this just posturing? And if it is posturing, I mean, obviously India has to play along with the United States as we are partners on a number of forums. But the fact of the matter is that this is going to be an important issue, and the Americans have our support.
But Vineet, let me just explain to you, as somebody who has dealt with illegal immigration in my last posting, for instance, in Netherlands. Illegal immigrants are of two categories. One are illegal immigrants from India, and other are illegal immigrants from Pakistan and Bangladesh, who, when they enter the country of their choice, for instance, in this case, United States, they tear up their passport and all other identification papers, and when they are caught, they say they are Indian. I have dealt with this matter myself in Netherlands on many occasions. Now the disadvantage for these people in Netherlands was, I could spot a Bengali illegal immigrant from the way he spoke Bengali, because he was from East Bengal, which is where my parents come from. And my Punjabi colleague would spot the illegal immigrant from Pakistan because he speaks Punjabi, I am told, a little differently from the native Punjabis in India. I used to explain to the Dutch that I have to go through a process of verification of where they come from, and if they are indeed Indians, we will take them back. This has been a long-standing policy. We do not encourage illegal immigration of Indians to other countries, and we do not encourage illegal immigrants into India. In fact, we need to adopt a Trump-like policy, in my perspective, if you debate that next time, with regard to illegal immigrants coming into India, particularly from the Bangladesh side of the border right now. So, when EM spoke, if you hear carefully and read carefully the transcript, the written transcript, EM said what I am saying. We will take back all illegal immigrants after verifying that they are from India. You must all remember that. That is very important. We cannot, in our enthusiasm to please Trump and the American administration, start taking back Pakistani jihadis who are Indians. So, yes, we have a strategic partnership. Yes, indeed, we are going to cooperate. But out of those 18,000, if 2,500 are Pakistanis and Bangladeshis, no, we will not take them back. We will ask the Trump administration to send them back to where they belong. That's the first point. Secondly, in the next category will come Indians who were documented, who are presently undocumented because they are awaiting documentation. Such people should not be treated as the same way as this category of 18,000 immigrants. That's also very important. They need the support of the Indian embassy to the extent possible to see whether their documentation can be finalized, because they don't want to be illegal, they didn't go as illegal, their papers ran out, they have gone for extension. In the meanwhile, the rules have changed. So we should not treat them in the same category, because otherwise there will be a huge human tragedy, as was reported in today's newspapers, that so many Indian women who are expecting children, and maybe the child is supposed to be born on 15th of March, they are asking the doctors to perform cesarean operations so that the child is born 6 weeks in advance. That endangers the life of the child and the life of the mother, because President Trump has said that this natural birthing rule will be changed after 15th of February. So we have to be very cautious on how we handle it. We are handling a very delicate issue. A, we do not take back jihadis who are not Indians. B, we take back everybody who is illegal who is Indian. C, we treat undocumented Indians who were going through a process of documentation with sympathy on a human basis. We take them back, of course, after trying to help them to see whether they can secure their documentation. Those are my thoughts on this very sensitive matter, Vineet. We should not rush into conclusions just because we want to please President Trump. Yes, we want to please President Trump, but our first responsibility is to the people of India, Vineet.
Sumit Peer, well, it's off to a good start, I would say, but Ambassador Baswati Mukherjee is right that we cannot base our foreign policy and how to deal with the Americans on pleasing Donald Trump. Obviously, that tariffs issue is also something that's going to come up, and we've heard that the Prime Minister is already thinking if that is implemented. But again, going back to what Professor Nalapat also said, that is this all posturing? Is Donald Trump sending everybody chasing their own tails?
Vinny, thank you for having me on your show. In fact, I must tell you today that Ambassador Ma'am stole the thunder of my argument. This is exactly what I was going to say. Because when you go out and you work there, everybody by default, even if he carries a Pakistani passport in JP, he will tell you, I'm Indian. And just say I'm Indian, because that gives you respect, that gives you legitimacy, that gives you stature in the societies. So the challenge here, the biggest thing is that, posturing or not, because we are talking about 15 million illegals, at least, which live in America, 15 million. So out of that, even if we have 2.5 lakhs, it's not even any number within that. But 15 million is 15 lakh. And that is estimated number. In the last 2-3 years, the number might have even got crossed 2 million, 20 million, we don't know. 2 million, 2 crore be 20 million, it might have crossed, we don't know. So our number of, first off, the important thing is our number of so-called illegal immigrants is very, very small. We might be less than 1%. So we are not a country who are rushing and getting in there and all. Second thing is very important is that out of those 18,000, we have to know how many are Bangladeshis, how many are Pakistanis, or even for some other country. Even a Maldivian can say, even a Nepali for that matter can say. Then again, you have to filter them out. How many of them have these, rogues which are, what ma'am rightly said, like this with jihadi mentality and all. They have got into America with nefarious designs. We know China has infiltrated more than 70,000 men in last year, according to Donald Trump, military-age men and women into America for nefarious designs. We know India traditionally as a country has always taken back its illegals wherever they are in the world after proper verification, which has to be there. We know China is the country who refuses to accept Chinese nationals. If you have a Chinese national, China will tell you, "Hamara hai nahi." They will refuse, because these illegals, the first thing they do is they will tear down their passport. They will tear down their identity, and even if he goes or she goes and tries to, make them believe and gives them all the proof I'm a Chinese, China does not take back its illegal people. While as India, we follow the rule of the law, we follow the international code of conduct, and our external affairs minister is very clear. Whoever is Indian and falls in the category of illegal immigrants, as per our criteria and conditions, we are willingly, happily taking them back. That is how the world's largest democracy should behave. Now, Vinny, there's $1 million question that will you be able to send that 20 million people, 2 crore people out of America? How long will it take? When will it happen? That we have to figure in due course of time. But what I know today, there are another 12.5 thousand troops which have been deployed on the Mexico border. They are putting this permanent and temporary, hurdles to stopping people. The Mexico drug cartels are already declared as international terrorist organizations, and even the people and the troops who are deployed on the border guard, they will have an option of carrying weapons. So when you give troops weapons, they can also use the weapons. So there is something which is happening in America, and if I look at after the time Trump has taken office, and today is just 2 days, and I've seen already people on the ground. I've seen those fences getting erected and all that. So there is some visible movement there, and Trump has already declared emergency on the Mexican border. He's not declaring that. But having said that, we'll do whatever is in our interest. If there's a person who is Indian and it's illegal, we'll take him back. But that never means a Bangladeshi, a Pakistani, or a Maldivian, or anybody. It cannot be anybody who looks like us as an Indian. So you can claim the number which you may be, but it will happen after due verification. And after Dr. Jaishankar has clearly stated, Yes, whoever is Indian will take it back. It is a very, very strong and a positive statement. Usually, people will run away from giving this. They say, we'll see, देखेंगे, करेंगे, बताएंगे. I can challenge you. Can Wengi come and say this? I challenge you on national TV. Can you get this statement out of Wengi? नहीं बोलेगा. They will never utter a word like this because they have infiltrated people into America under nefarious designs. We have, even some people have illegally gone there to Mexican route or whatever. This was out of their goodwill. There is no Indian government role. There is no Indian agency's role. This is just some people looking for a better life and some people getting lured into a better life. So it is very responsible for some of the irresponsible behavior of our citizens. The government is responsibly saying, yes, I will take them back, but I will verify, which is fair enough. That is what it should be. So you have to appreciate the gesture of India. You have to appreciate the things what India has, and you have to appreciate what India has put very upfront in a very clear and explicit manner, which a lot of countries don't do. So this elevates the stature of India. This elevates the stature of Modi Sarkar and Dr. Jaishankar. And this is a very, very clear statement which Trump and the Trump administration will lock. But having said that, anybody looking Indian is not Indian, sir. Anybody who has to be Indian has to be Indian by citizenship. That is a very, very subtle and clear point and distinction we'll make. And ma'am makes a very good point that people are in between the papers, right? Due to some reasons they are in between the papers, they can't be considered as illegal. So they have to be given some more time and all. And if things don't work, then we'll see how to handle it. But India is not shying away from taking its responsibility. Bharat is standing to the test of time. And yes, if some of people have gone there due to whatever reasons, and even for their irresponsible behavior, we are taking the responsibility and acting very responsibly and stating it direct. And Vinitji, out of 2 crore people, even if they are 2.5 lakhs, it's not even 1%. So we are not those people who are, bombarding US with the illegals and all. So what Americans really need to worry about, if they have to worry about the Chinese who infiltrated them.
All right.
Around all of them.
All right. Okay. Pathakrit, where do you stand on this? Donald Trump, of course, being described as literally a bull in the China shop.
So, Vinit, first and foremost, let me tell you, it is not my job to give sermons to the Americans what is good for them. The American president has been elected by the people of America. They have given them overwhelming vote. And now it is up to them. If whatever he's doing is good, it's good. If it doesn't good, they will suffer. That's their problem. So I think the issue of how to deal with illegals have been rightly, very rightly addressed by the respected fellow panelists. But at the same time, there's another aspect to it. Just as India will do whatever is necessary to take back those legitimate Indians who have illegally gone there, at the same time, it is not the job of government of India or the external affairs minister to push that, no, please allow my country's citizens to become your country's citizens. That is also not something government of India will do. Because, let me tell you, there is this huge issue being created out of the 14th Amendment, citizenship by birthright and H-1B visa. I am telling you, even now, a large number of people will still go to United States on H-1B visa. They will get jobs. They can actually work over there. They have contributed to the American economy. They will contribute to Indian economy. Everything is fine. But just because if you get an H-1B visa, then you try to get a green card, then you will look for a citizenship. And then if you will hope that the next 7 generations stay over there, and if America doesn't allow it, that means America has betrayed you. That is not something we should expect. That is not something people of those who are actually aspiring to go to the United States should expect. It's a country which has given you a right to work. They're paying you for that. You get the experience. If you get citizenship, good enough. If it doesn't give you a citizenship, come back to your own country and contribute. So when Prime Minister Modi is creating the 3rd largest ecosystem for startups in the world, if it's a $4 trillion economy, we would actually want great minds to stay back or to come back. Now, that is not something India will do. And certainly, this is only the beginning of the pushback. Whether somebody likes Trump or not, this is only the beginning of the pushback that will happen, not just in United States, but across Western Europe. And let me tell you, they will then target the CEOs of big tech companies who are of Indian origin, that why you are setting up the GCCs in India, which will create jobs for Indians. So you have a reset happening. But whether somebody who is on H-1B visa should get a citizenship or not, that is the prerogative of the American government. That is not for us to decide. That is not where I think the government of India will interfere. Of course, H-1B visa is fine. But I know people who have deliberately gone there only to ensure that the next generation takes birth there. That has been misused so much that somewhere a lid had to be put. If there are people who are looking for premature C-section surgery and delivery of their babies, that is an embarrassment for any country, Vinay. That is an embarrassment for India if there are Indians doing it. That is not a responsibility of government of India. Because I'm sure all of us here who decided to stay back have been on their own successful and have contributed to the country just as the NRIs have contributed to the American economy and the Indian economy. So I think somewhere this mindset has to change.
All right. Okay.
That I have the right to become citizen just because I've got an H-1B visa.
Okay. All right. We'll take concluding thoughts from all our guests, starting with Professor Nalapat.
Vineet, he's given a 30-day grace period. This has already been challenged in court by 22 states of the United States. It's going to be held up in the court system. Some court is going to grant a stay of the entire process. And quite frankly, according to the experts I've spoken to in the US, it will be thrown out by the Supreme Court as being contrary to the 14th Amendment. Let me point out that these people that we're talking about, H-1B visa holders, are huge net contributors to the United States exchequer. They're not a drain. In Scandinavian countries and Britain and so many other countries, you have people who are basically a drain on the social sector, on the finances of the country. Indians are a positive asset to the finances of the country, and Indians are not a drain at all. So from that point of view, the US would be the loser were they to come back. And if there are opportunities to come back, of course people are going to come back. And of course, we're going to have people from the US or US citizens also coming and working. But I simply want to say, Vineet, that this is a long way to go. Well before 2026 midterms, Trump will have to get the Supreme Court to say no to this, because if this were to continue, not just Indian Americans, but Hispanics and several other groups of people whom Trump needs to get a comfortable majority of the Republicans in the 2026 midterms, will vote for Democrats and give Democrats a majority in Senate and the House. After that, Trump will be able to get no legislation through. In fact, he may face impeachment one more time. Even though the first impeachment was an error, he got elected. Second, we don't know. So frankly, Vineet, it's a legal process, and from what I've heard, this kind of a restriction on H-1B is against the rule of law in the United States, and it is expected to be thrown out in court. Vineet.
Ambassador Mukherjee?
Actually, I fully agree with Professor Nalapat. Yesterday it was reported that President Trump himself has backed off and has said in public that H-1B visa is very important for continuing the prosperity and making United States great again. Why does he say that? Because his best buddies, including his presidential best buddy, Elon Musk, and the other trillionaires who came for his inauguration, they are hugely dependent on talented Indians who go on H-1B visa and contribute, as my co-panelists have said, to the American dream. The American dream would not be possible without H-1B visa holders. And I am convinced that the MAGA group, which is trying to pressure President Trump, will not succeed, because President Trump is showing clear signs of backing off. Between 2 days of his inauguration, he is talking different language on H-1B. He is now focusing on illegal immigrants who are holed up at the Mexican border. He has sent the US Army troops. He has said that he is going to ensure that not one person can cross. That means he is focusing on an issue on which he won elections, which is the hordes of illegals who try to climb through from the Mexican border, like the kind of problem we are facing on the Bangladesh borders. We can see for ourselves what happens on the attack on Saif Ali Khan, a Bangladeshi who swam the river, went into Assam, then took a train to Kolkata, then took a train to Mumbai, and was working illegally, helped by Indians who helped him to get an Aadhaar card and SIM card. So the thing is that in United States, I'm told it's exactly the same. There are Americans working to get these illegals through. so that they can be used as cheap slave labor in their restaurants, etc., in all the sectors where Americans don't want to work. So it's also a curious dilemma of the American dream. To achieve the American dream, on one hand you need the H-1B visa, but on the other hand you need those poor hordes about whom it is written at the bottom of the Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty says, we welcome these poor hordes. Why does it say so? And now there are jokes that the Statue of Liberty itself should be deported back to France because Statue of Liberty is an illegal immigrant from France, sitting there welcoming the illegal horde for so many centuries and illegally sent from France after the French Revolution to the Americans when they had their revolution. So this is a very complex history and it denies actually certain fundamentals of the American dream. So I agree with those of my co-panelists who say that America, like India, is a country based on rule of law. And beyond a point, you cannot deviate from that law, even if you're president. So whether it's for H-1B or even for illegals, there is certain norms laid out. And for H-1B, it will be thrown out by the Supreme Court. 100%, I'm sure of it.
All right. Sumit Peer, quickly please.
We need 2 or 3 quick points here. The first point is, look, we're very sure that in America, the problem with the legal system is even the judges are Republican and Democrats. So it's a very unique system wherein judge says I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat. So in this kind of a system, and how do the conservatives look at it, that a lot will determine on that. Not possibly on the merits of case, but how do the judges interpret it. Some of them say what Trump is saying vis-a-vis 14th Amendment is correct, because in 14th Amendment this was not written illegal and all. Second fact also remains that, look, employment doesn't mean citizenship, doesn't mean you the guarantee to live. Employment is only opportunity to work. There are a lot of countries, but the people who who go to Gulf, even after 30, 50 years, you have to come back. You can never become a citizen of any Gulf country. That's the rule. So why do you say America is something different? Third point is, we need, look, American presidents, the first American president was a slave trade. Slave trade has been prevalent in America. There was a time you were getting slaves all in ships and chaining them and making them work. Then when this got abolished, so you found ways, you let a few doors open. You intentionally left a few doors and windows open and let these people to come in. Aja. And you made laws in such a way which will let these people come and become those virtual slaves, have no identity and work less bonded labor, slave labor. You let those rules happen. Now suddenly if you wake up and say one day I don't want to make it happen, that is your call. How will the people respond to it? How will your legal system respond to it? That is your call. But one thing I know for sure, 65,000 is our H1B quota. If 65,000 Indians are not going to go there, we are not going to starve, neither they are going to starve. तुम्हें देखो तुम्हें क्या करना है. You will have the impact. We will still prevail. We'll still win. There will be a lot of people for us. और हमारे घर में बहुत रोटी है साहब. रोटी के लिए कोई वांदे नहीं है यहाँ पे.
Pathik, quickly please.
So, H-1B visa is an executive issue, and the birthright citizenship is a constitutional issue. Those are two different things altogether. Secondly, I still reiterate that, that has to be decided by the people of the United States, which is good or bad. But we need to do at least 50% of what Trump is doing in terms of showing the resolve to throw out the illegal immigrants. That is something we should be talking about. Not even if it is 10%, not 50%, I think a lot of good favor will be done to India, because there is a limitation in terms of how much a country can absorb illegals. And there has to be some kind of a rationalization, reset in terms of what are the expectations of those who are going to do a job over there. Sumit is very right. People who go to Middle East do not get a permanent citizenship.
All right. Okay.
Back.
Thank you so much. Appreciate everyone who joined us. Thank you for your inputs.